Brandon. Miss Mary Ann.
If you can hear me, this is Jim Glenn.
Hi, Mr. Glenn. How are you?
Doing well. Hope
Good.
everything is working well for you.
Going well. I was
Thank
going
you.
to ask Miss Mary Ann, how do I turn my phone so it doesn't ring during the meeting?
I'm coming.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we are still awaiting more commissioners to arrive. So we'll give a few more moments.
No, no.
Sparks, have we heard from, okay, I see another commissioner is coming on.
The only ones that I have heard from is Commissioner Worth indicated that he would not be here. And Chair Burse also indicated he would not be here.
That would leave us with the potential of 9 commissioners attending.
Yes.
We need one more to make a quorum. Right.
We have 2 more joining now.
All right. Thanks, Brandon. Hey, it's good to see everyone. I think we can call the Thursday, September 21st Kentucky Commission on Human Rights meeting to order. We're glad to see those who are present, both from our commissioners team as well as the staff. I'd like to at this time call for confirmation of quorum. You did.
Confirmed.
All right. The next, confirmation of public notice.
Public notice was sent.
Thank you. Next, are there any public participants?
There are not.
All right. Then we'll move next to the consideration and the approval of minutes for the meeting that was held August the 3rd. We'll call for a motion.
This is
So
Jim
moved.
Glenn. I move that the minutes be approved.
I'll
Motion
second
made
that.
by Jim Glenn, seconded by Bernice Henry. Commissioner Henry, second.
Yes.
Commissioner Jim Glenn made the motion. Question? Okay, all in favor? Approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. This time we'll move into our report, starting with the executive director report.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am just going to mention that as your report, my report indicates, we had 52 cases that were reviewed and approved. And I wanted to let you know that we are still meeting with our HUD and EEOC liaisons, and we have made our HUD contract for this year. Cedric will go a little bit more into that. I wanted to mention to you all as well that we are working diligently to start to get our policies and procedures and practices together in the agency. In doing so, we have internal coordinators that will be working with staff. If there are any internal EEO or ADA complaints or ethics complaints within the agency, we have volunteers in the office that will take those grievances and complaints. And I want to thank Glenda Stovall, who is our EEO coordinator, Rolanda Hamilton, who is our ADA coordinator, and Colt Sells, who is our ethics coordinator. We hope that we never have to use any of this, but we want to make sure that the process is in place and everyone knows if they do have any complaints, what they need to do and who they need to go to. So again, I thank those individuals for volunteering for those positions. I'd like to spend much of my time talking about the fact that we continue to have issues here in the office in the Hayburn building, and we have requested to get out of our lease and to be moved to another location. As we mentioned before, the only location that is available to us right now is at Winnington Parkway. The plan is to move to that location to a temporary side until our permanent residence will be complete. We have had a lot of problems in the office. We're not getting any cooperation with Hayburn management. As you can see, what kind of prompted the letter saying that we just really have to leave is there was a water break. And it literally, you can't see from that picture, but there's a video also, and it was like a waterfall that just came down for hours, basically hours. And then we were kind of just stuck with wet floors. They did finally come in over a weekend and dried some things out, but they didn't pull up the carpet. And so then we had places on the floor and the carpet that were lifted up. So we had to kind of do our own barricades to make sure that everyone was safe. So this again led to everything else. We still don't have air throughout the whole office. Luckily, it's cooled down some, so we don't have to deal with that. But we are definitely going to be moving. We have already met with Real Properties at the Whittington Parkway location. They recently gave us a set of plans. And so we are moving forward with getting out of the Hayburn building. If you have any questions or concerns about us moving, if you let me know, I appreciate it, and I'll try to answer any questions that I can.
Let me ask, if I may, then I think Commissioner Glenn is next. Was there any significant damage to actual property of the commission and records and those types of effects with this water damage?
There was no damage to any records. We did have damage to one of our printers, was soaked. The whole ceiling came down on the printer. copier. So we, on the 14th floor, only have one printer and copier at this time. The rest of the damage is mostly to the floor and the carpet, and basically that's it. And the fact that, again, oh, and the wall, because the water did run down the wall, but any other documents or files, any of those things did not get destroyed. There were some posters that were on a floor in one of the offices, and those posters got wet as well.
Commissioner Glenn, did you have something?
Yes, sir. Are we planning to be out by next meeting?
We're not positive. We hope to be in the temporary position by the next, the temporary location by the next commission meeting. There will be a period of time that we will be both in the Hayburn building and the temporary location because we have so much stuff to move. But it is our hope and our belief that we will be able to be in the temporary position by the October meeting. Let me also indicate that the temporary location is exactly what it sounds like. It's open. It's an open area side. There's numerous large rooms on that side, and we're going to be set up so that we can continue to work. We'll start moving files over there as soon as we can so that we'll have all our files there. The employees will have all their work there, and we will set up a room so that we can have our commission meeting there as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions concerning this particular issue? I noticed on an email, I believe that I received, that it's a smaller amount of square footage, but also the amount of rent we would be saving at least around close to 30,000. Is that reflective of the temporary site, or is that reflective of the more permanent site?
It is reflective of the permanent site. However, that does not take into consideration what we're going to do with build outs that we have to do. For instance, at the permanent site, as is, the conference room was not large enough for us to have our commission meetings in. So they are building out the conference room so that we have a larger conference room. Most of the staff will also be in cubicles. However, managers will be in offices. At the time that we viewed that location, there were not enough office spaces, and so they will be building out offices as well. They will, in addition, be adding doors in various locations so that we have security, so someone couldn't just come into the office and go straight where all of the staff is. And so I say that to say that a portion of that savings will go to the renovations. The renovations and build out, though, I've been told will be spread through the length of the lease. So possibly 5 years, whatever the cost of the renovations are, will be spread for a 5-year period. Our biggest expense, though, even though we will be saving some money, our biggest expense is going to be the move. We have a vast amount of items here in this office and on these 2 floors, more so than we had when we were all on one floor on the 7th floor. And we're not going to be able to take everything that we have to the new location. So we have met with movers. We had someone come into the office and view every inch of the office to kind of get an idea what it would cost. And one of the things that came up is we're probably going to have 3 different moves. We'll have a move that will take a lot of the excess furnitures and equipment that we can't or won't use, that surplus will accept. There'll be a move to those items to surplus. We will also have a move for items that surplus won't take. We'll have to photograph and indicate what these items are and send something to surplus for them to say, no, we don't want it, get rid of it, dispose of it. So that would mean another move that will be to dispose of broken equipment, broken chairs, broken desks, things that surplus won't take. So we'll be responsible for that move. And then lastly, we would be, not lastly, we'll be responsible for the move to the temporary location, which is right across the hall from the permanent location. And then finally, the move to the permanent location.
Okay,
We will have a lease in the temporary location, and then it will switch over to a lease for the permanent location. So there may be an overlap in October and possibly November, so that we can get staff in the temporary location and have them continue to work as we're trying to move everything out. There will be we will be paying leases in both the Hayburn building and that temporary location.
any other questions? Any other questions about the comprehensive executive director's report? Hearing none, thank you so very much for this report. So sorry that these things happened as they've happened. I know we have been concerned for a good while about where we are. So fortunately, there's some preliminary work that has gone into this move. And just kind of, I guess this was the proverbial straw.
That's it.
That has broken the camel's back, and poor camel. But we hope that we can get this transition to occur. And most of all, I guess a thing that I'm concerned with is how we shall notify the public, and looking at this, just the delivery of services and the investigations that are going on, hopefully will not cause such a great impediment. But I know how moves and transitions can be. And I would encourage, if there is a transition plan that can make less work on the staff and more on the team of movers to be responsible for as much as possible, so that the delivery of services, what we're providing, can be as consistent as possible. Trying to ensure that would be my hope. And I know that's a big hope, because I've been through these types of things, and I know it is quite stressful on additional time needed. So whatever we as commissioners can do to help in any way, don't feel that you're opposing to just reach out to us. And I know I'm here in Louisville personally, and whatever I can do to help, let me know. Chair Burse and any others that are in this immediate area, so we can give some support. And if if there is anything that I might be able to make an appeal to some of our students here at Simmons, if there's some things that they might be able to help out with in the move or in the transition or packing or things of this nature, I'll do what I can to reach out to the constituency locally to assist in that.
Thank you. We're going to work very hard to make sure that there is no lapse in the service that we're providing. Like I said, it's quite extensive, what we have. Our staff will only really be responsible for what's in their office. We've already asked staff to take any personal items home and transport them as they decide what they can use in the new location. not necessarily in the temporary location, but in our permanent site. And then the rest, most of the managers will probably be working very hard to just kind of go through everything, categorize everything, get it set up. And so, as you said, most of the work will be put on the movers, who will come in and then do all the heavy lifting and things that need to be done. Again, we've already been told we're going to be hit financially quite a bit, but it's something that has to happen. And I think in the long run, we're going to benefit from it.
Yes. Thank you. Also in your report, I noticed, and forgive me, but we've made some changes in how the cases are handled. So I know that you have the case closures mentioned as a part of your report. Are we to discuss and do our vote at this time, or would that come under enforcement?
You're no longer voting on the cases.
Okay, that's what I
Yes.
wanted to be.
Yes.
That's what I really wanted to be sure of. I'm trying to
Right.
catch up to the changes, so
Yeah.
bear with me.
You're no longer voting on the cases. What happens is investigators make a recommendation. They submit their cases to their supervisor. The supervisor reviews the cases or their team leader first, and then their supervisor reviews the cases, and then the cases come up to me for review. And I know that the last time that we met, there were questions about some of the cases. I am prepared today to answer whatever I can answer, just basic, what the case was about or the type of complaint it was. But what happens is I review the case. If I agree with the recommendation, I will send out closing documents, and for employment and public accommodations, they get additional time to request a reconsideration. If we don't receive a reconsideration request, the case is closed. I close it, and then it's sent to legal for filing. In housing, they don't get reconsideration. So once I approve the closure of the case and the recommendation that was made, those cases go back to the supervisor for closure in HIMSS. And it's been working pretty well for right now. We have a couple of glitches. Sometimes you will see a case because of the timing in which I have put the case on this list. But I will mention if anytime after I've received, sent out this report, I've received requests for reconsideration, because that means that I will pull that case from this list, and it may appear again the next time if they've asked for reconsideration. But all of these there's no request for reconsiderations. And so we are able to close all of these cases.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for the report. Next, we should move to the financial report.
Good morning. You have my report before you. I'll draw attention to we have our biennial budget submission that we're currently working on. Cynthia is working on creating the priorities for additional budget requests. We'll have to have that submitted October 2nd. Kind of a difficult time in the process of this emergency move that we're experiencing, but we're going to get through it. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to field those at this time.
Okay. Hearing no questions, thank you very much, Brandon. Fiscal manager, appreciate you. All right, next we'll move to mediation report.
I have my report before you. September hasn't been a great month in mediation. Didn't have a great start. The very first case that was scheduled on September 7th had to be rescheduled. And the second one, we had a complainant no show to mediation for a second time, hoping today's mediation and the next one have better outcomes. The two that were successfully mediated between or since the last commission meeting, one was a public accommodations discrimination case based on race that settled for $1,500, and also acknowledgement by the company to reinforce their anti-discrimination policies. They already had trainings in place, but they did vow to do more internal training within the specific store to ensure that the employees are retaining the material from trainings. It's not common for companies to do that, so that was good, and the complainant was actually more focused on that than the monetary settlement award that they received. The other case was an employment case, also based on race. That one settled for $1,650. There wasn't really hardly any back pay, so also an outcome that both sides seemed to be pleased with, and she was removed from the no rehire list. Generally, once someone is terminated, there is a no rehire component that was removed, and she was pretty pleased with that. So hopefully we'll have similarly successful outcomes with the remaining two cases that are set in September. And the only other thing that's different from my report is that it says 4 have been scheduled, so 4 more have been scheduled for October. That's all.
Questions? Right, hearing none. Thank you so much for your report,
Yeah.
Sana. And, things happen, so just have to keep moving with what can process, move forward. So appreciate that spirit. Believe next we will hear the enforcement unit report. It's good to, I was unable to be at the last meeting, but certainly appreciate welcoming Mr. Irvin back to the staff. And this time we will hear from you on the enforcement unit.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
So as Cynthia said, we closed 52 cases. 29 of them were employment. And I want to say that with that 29 closure, that we exceeded actually the contract by a few cases with employment. So that is a celebration in itself. So I'm ecstatic. So hopefully we can celebrate. I don't know if y'all be there, but the staff and I can celebrate that accomplishment. Another thing to point out too as well, which y'all have not heard in a while, probably 13 housing cases were closed since the last commission meeting to now, some of them dating back to 2021. So with that being said, I do want to be clear that no matter how old the case is, it will be thoroughly investigated prior to closure. So we're working on them and we're trying to get them closed, but we're not looking to close them just because they're old. We're going to thoroughly investigate them prior to closing. I want to thank Colt as well for helping out with some of these older cases, looking at them and giving them the push they needed as well to understanding the gray areas that we had questions about regarding those cases. Outside of that, though, I mean, we've been doing good. We've been pushing to do and close those older cases and making sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's on those investigations regarding the older cases. And we are making progress in employment, public accommodation, and also housing, which older cases in all 3 areas were closed during the last commission meeting. That's all I really have at this time. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I did want to ask a question. I noticed many of the cases say investigation ongoing. And I just wondered, do we run into any issues where even though the investigation is ongoing, because of the age of being a couple of years past, are there problems with making contact? Are there problems with change of address or anything that leaves it in the investigation ongoing status, but more inactive? And then if that's the case, I was just wondering how do we move on to closure out of this category of ongoing?
Ongoing is what I would call something that was just always used, in a sense. That is something that we're working on. Majority of the cases have something being done, or they are waiting on something. They're trying to reach the respondent, reach the complainant, so on and so forth. But ongoing was just kind of a blanket statement that was used and has been used for a while, something that will become a little different as time goes on, given more of a waiting on respondent. Some of them you see is CRC closure, or waiting on a respondent, or interviewing a complainant. Some of that is more of what will be kind of stated, just what's going on at the time they submit that report to me, as far as what's going on with their case. But ongoing is just something that was always blanketly used. And so it doesn't indicate that there's an issue or inactive status. It doesn't indicate any of that. It's just something that they always have used or was ongoing.
Okay, I was just wondering if it may be helpful to categorize this a little bit more carefully, so that we can kind of get a view of the work that's going into this investigation process, and appreciate it for what it is. And I don't know what that has to be, but I just wanted to mention that because I would assume that there are numerous things that are kind of going on to move the needle. And I know that in some cases, when you're dealing with public issues, you run into barriers that, and it shouldn't be a reflection on the staff, right, that this is just ongoing, but is there a way to kind of document what the issue is in some category of investigation ongoing, so that when we see it, we can appreciate and know some touches are being made, and it's not anything that is just kind of sitting there lingering and languishing. So that was just a thought that I had, and appreciate the work. Are there any other questions for enforcement unit? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again, Mr. Irvin, so very much for that report.
I'm
Next.
sorry, is Commissioner Henry, does she have her hand up? I couldn't tell.
No,
Oh, okay.
I was just suggesting something. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Nothing more. The education outreach and intake.
Morning. You all have our report. It's a little more lengthy than usual, but we had the opportunity to give you some additional information about all the things that go on in this unit. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. And that's wonderful.
Well, it's certainly, reflective of our efforts to do the education and outreach. So appreciate that. Wondered if there was anything resulting from the efforts that happened in Paducah with the other commissions that noticed in the minutes there were several points that were raised, and seemed like there's a great hunger for more interaction with the state commission. So just wondered if there was anything that I see a hand up, Mr. Irvin.
And Juan Pena is going to be going down there to do some additional training with their newly appointed commissioners. So we know for sure that's going to happen. And I'm not sure if it's a result of the meeting or what, but I have seen an uptick in complaints from Paducah. So that's always, I think, helpful.
Yeah.
Also, we had a roundtable with EEOC in which the local commissions were involved, and Paducah participated in that roundtable and those discussions. So we were able to get a little bit more information about what local commissions need from us and how we can partner and collaborate together. So we are moving toward that and just networking and partnering with the local commissions, reestablishing those relationships that we had with them in the past.
Okay, very good. Did you have something else, Mr. Irvin?
I was going to say I've been in communication with the mayor as well from Paducah, and they've asked about a couple of cases that we have had. We can't give them details in depth of the investigation, but let them know they were ongoing. I also forgot in my report about training, ongoing training and education that is taking place. And I wanted to talk about a FIP-FAP conference I went to and how I returned with information regarding affirmatively furthering fair housing, desperate impact investigations, legal updates, strategies for investigating LGBTQ plus housing discrimination, looking at language and empowering communities as well. So I wanted to make sure I shared that information was shared with staff and all commission staff, not just enforcement staff, and that we're looking to always better ourselves so we can do thorough and effective investigations and eradicate discrimination in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I just want to say all that because it sounded smart to go that far with it, but that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, Ms. Taylor, thank you. And it seems like there is a robust calendar for the Civil Rights Hall of Fame timeline. And I'm pleased to see this plan and the opportunity to reconnect in this effort, because I think it brings more awareness back toward the commission, and people appreciate that Hall of Fame attention. And so very glad to note what's been set forth for next year, over the course of the next year.
Thank you.
Appreciate it all. And any other questions on this report? Hearing none, thank you. And next we will move to the legal unit. And while I was unable to be at last meeting, I learned there's been a transition. And so welcome, Colt, to your new role. And you've been faithful and dedicated throughout. And so we do salute you for all that you are doing. So we'll hear from your report.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and good morning, everybody else. For those who don't know me, my name is Colt Sells. You all have the legal units report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them, but just a few updates. We're moving right along. We're still continuing to update and make our regulatory changes that Joe initiated. While our caseload is down, we're hopeful that with the addition of new staff in the enforcement unit and with Cedric coming on board, that we will have cases coming to legal for probable cause determinations to beef up our caseload. But while it is down, we're still looking for opportunities to help private litigants in their KCHR claims in courts across the state. I wanted to make one update to the report. One of our cases where we're helping a private litigant in the case of Joyce Turner versus Norton Healthcare. You'll see the update after the Kentucky Supreme Court's decision. I noted that the case will be removed from the next report, but it will not be because a petition for rehearing was filed in that case. So we're hopeful that the Supreme Court will grant that and help decide some of the issues that we thought were left unaddressed in the court's decision. But other than that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
All right. Questions? Let's definitely note the change in Roman numeral 3 on page 69 of the report, as Mr. Sales has indicated, case Turner versus Norton Healthcare. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I believe that covers all of our reports, and again, I want to commend the staff for your work. Know that it is not unappreciated, and especially looking at the challenges you're facing in your work. Any other comments on any committee reports? Okay, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Ms. Taylor, your hand. Did I see your hand?
Yes, you did. Just want to remind everyone in the executive directors section report that we are once again having our Hispanic Immigrant and Refugee Networking Summit for our agency and for the communities. That's usually a big deal. We always have at least 100 people there. It's on page 22, the flyer with all the information. And of course, we'd love to see any of you all there that, you know, desire to come. It's in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Hopefully we'll see you. Registration's done online, or you can call Juan. He's taking all the registration. But I did just want to make sure you guys are aware that that is coming up October 6th. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That is Friday, October the 6th, 9 to 3:30 at the Shelby County Extension Office, 1117 Frankfort Road. Begins at 9 a.m. Registration is free. And so let's, with all possible support, and Juan always does a tremendous job in the efforts. So we certainly appreciate Juan. I don't see him on today, but certainly appreciate all he does. Okay, any committee reports from the commissioners? None. Any new business? Right, hearing none. Our next commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October the 19th, and we'll have more information to come concerning that meeting. So again, thank you, Executive Director, for your communications with us, along with Brandon setting up the Zoom. And we look forward to, in the meantime, if there's anything developing in the move that we should know, don't hesitate to let me know, Chair Burse, and we'll do what we can to help in that process.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. There's nothing else. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Commissioner Rabbi, motion to adjourn.
Jim
Second,
Glenn, second.
All right. I presume all are in favor, but verify by saying aye.
aye.
None opposed, huh?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all, and let's have a great day. Looking forward to a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.